Hello and welcome. In this video, we will deep dive into the exciting new FPL rule that allows you to save up to 5 free transfers. I'll explain why it's crucial to accumulate these transfers and identify strategic opportunities to use them, especially starting from game week 1, where you can plan well in advance. So, seasoned managers often recommend having 2 free transfers on hand as it provides more flexibility than just one. Perhaps it's because many don't believe it will significantly impact their gameplay. They might be right if they continue playing as usual, but the purpose of this video is to show the substantial opportunity in adopting this new strategy. So we'll explore how saving transfers can give you an upper hand in navigating the frequent, tricky challenges that arise during the season. So, example 1. One benefit of this new rule is reducing the need to use transfers suboptimally just to avoid burning them. It's much more common to feel frustrated when you have 2 free transfers, but your team is perfect, only to need 3 transfers 2 weeks later and having to take a hit. This scenario happens several times throughout the season. With the new rule, you can avoid that frustration by saving transfers more effectively. For instance, last season, there was this situation where Salah and Son were about to leave for Asia, but they had one more good fixture left. If your team was perfect then, you might have unwillingly sold one of them despite their great fixture, just to avoid burning a transfer, even though it wasn't the optimal timing to sell them. With more transfers saved up, however, in this season, you can be more patient and avoid these suboptimal timings. There will now be far fewer instances where you will need to make a decision on potentially burning a transfer. Example 2, better opportunities to hokey cokey. Let's talk about the hokey cokey strategy. So this involves making short-term punts on players and then reverting back or adjusting based on subsequent fixtures. This was, however, risky with the old rules due to limited transfers and potential hits in case it went wrong. So you committed some transfers to the strategy, but also it meant risking that nothing else would go wrong in your team, because then you'd have to address that. So with the new rule, you can have these extra transfers and make these aggressive moves and still have the flexibility to address these other issues that may arise. But again, this is assuming you have saved up those 3+ transfers and have them as a safety net in case something goes wrong with your aggressive approach. Example 3, achieving the dream combination of players with your extra 3rd or 4th transfer. So imagine you want to bring in 2 specific players and transfer out to others. With the old rules, you needed the right amount of money for that. Often we were contemplating taking a hit to downgrade a 3rd player just to afford the combination of the most important players that we wanted. However, that -4 or -8 point hit could make the overall move less worthwhile. For instance, if you have a budget defender and need to downgrade him to fund the transfers, that -4 could negate the benefits of the upgrades in your team. Now, with that saved up transfer, you can make that 3rd transfer without a hit, effectively changing your formation. Double game weeks are where this new rule can really shine. For instance, you can build up a team to make a perfect bench boost, and previously you would have to wildcard out these players, and you called that a dead end into a wild card, but now you can transfer them out more easily. Instead of building your squad earlier than you want, you can delay bringing players up until the certain double game week. So if you've saved 5 transfers and you bring in 3 players for a double game week, you can actually transfer out those 3 players in the game week after without taking a hit, and can be seen as a larger scale hokey cokey. An example of this is when a big double game week was coming up and it was worth taking hits. People took hits 2 weeks in a row because it was still expected positive value because they potentially had one more double game week than other players, and you would take those hits. But now you don't even have to take those hits, and it can be even better early transfers where you jump on double game week players, or you can spread out these 5 transfers over several weeks, taking two transfers, for instance, without taking hits. Now let's take a look at how this strategy impacts my game week 1 squad. First off, I want to talk about the wild card. The first wild card, some people, they plan to use it aggressively. That's not really my style, and I think, aren't you counting on everything going your way? I usually prefer to save my wild card, but with this new rule change, I actually like the first wild card to come a bit earlier compared to previous seasons, because it allows you to set up a long-term team that minimizes the need for these weekly transfers. As I said, I want to save up those transfers. Let's not be afraid to use that first wild card, but I'm still not going to plan on using it immediately. Another thing here, what my inclination of wanting as many saved transfers as possible means in terms of choosing my Game Week 1 team. For 21.5 million as an example, a decision might be to go with one of the combinations Nkunku and Haaland, or Salah and Watkins. Haaland and Nkunku might project slightly more points, but with Nkunku not proving himself yet in the Premier League, arguably, players like him come with more uncertainty, making the overall combo more prone to needing a transfer. I've gone for punts on Chelsea assets in the previous seasons, Jackson recently, Havertz and Werner, and none of those have worked out for me despite being great in their previous leagues. So my point here is try to be patient and have the players you are quite sure of will fire immediately and that you can hold for longer to use this saving up transfer strategy. That was the video. I'm really eager to hear your opinions on, are you going to plan out saving transfers, and do you think that will work out for you? Take care.